And so my first and second hypotheses, like the first and second beginnings, like photogenesis, convey the reversibility of the subject and the predicate. Right? This equal sign that I have posited, as in any formula, you can read it from, if it's an equation, you can read it from left to right or from right to left. So there is a reversibility of the subject and the predicate. These two hypotheses say, in effect, that every beginning is a plant and every plant is a beginner. We should proceed with caution, however, considering that this phytogenic or phytogenetic beginning is not an origin. It is not at all inconsistent with being in the middle and with commencing always in and from the middle of actual existence. If together with plant, phyton, nature, physis, names a beginning, as in Empedocles, fragment 8, Empedocles is one of the pre-Socratic philosophers, who, according to one of his fragments, says that there is neither a physis nor an end of all mortal things, which means that he is using physis, the word for nature, as beginning, right? There's neither a physis nor an end of all mortal things. Then metaphysics attempts to break once and for all with the beginning and to insinuate itself after as much as behind that beginning as the true origin and end of all things. So the beginning is not a problem here. It's the postulation of the origin, which is the gesture of metaphysics par excellence, that tries to break with the beginning and to insinuate itself after as much as behind that beginning as the true origin and the end of all things. In contrast to the origin, which is but a head cut off from the rest of the body, the beginning does not stay enclosed in itself, immune to external changes and inner transformations. As soon as it bursts forth into generation, a moving lineage in an ongoing tension with a starting point. And we can think about evolution or nature in this pre-Latin designation along these lines. A beginning configured as nature plant, physis phyton, grows, decays, and metamorphoses. An origin, on the other hand, clings to the illusion of its unperturbed immutability. So to think about the beginning vegetally, the beginning that is both a plant and nature in its Greek denomination, is to think about the beginning that grows, decays, metamorphoses. It is not immutable like the metaphysical origin. Now, for those of you who are more attracted to scientific explanations, we can also refer to a more restricted technical sense of phytogenesis that again means two things at the same time. Again, here, everywhere there's a kind of bifurcation, a split into two. And scientifically, phytogenesis means the growth or development of a plant, often at the cellular level. That's the first definition of phytogenesis. And the second is the emergence and evolutionary development of plants, right? So the growth and development of a single plant, even at the microscopic cellular level, and then the macro emergence and evolutionary development of plants, both are the senses of phytogenesis in a more scientific discourse. At the same time, phytogenic signifies caused by or consisting of plants, as in phytogenic dam, phytogenic dune, and phytogenic shores, formed as a result of the life activities of plant organisms, right? So plants themselves that give birth to certain structures, such as a dam or a shoreline, and so on and so forth. The conflation of various scales and levels of existence and analysis is not accidental here. The same composite word of Greek provenance describes the development of a single plant, of plant communities molding over time landscapes and waterscapes, of a species, and of an entire biological kingdom. It puts plants in a position of objects for evolutionary, geological, biological, ecological, cytological, and other kinds of study, while also acknowledging their role as subjects in crafting themselves and their worlds. So even this scientific construction of phytogenesis has the kind of reversibility of subject and predicate or subject and object that I have been talking about earlier. Now, if you want to know about the earliest scientific use of the term, it goes back to a German scientist, Matthias Jakob Schleiden. I can write his name here for you, right? Who in 1838 wrote an essay titled Contributions to Photogenesis, where the concern is with cell origination, division, and renewal. Again, renewal, the self-refreshing power of creation, viriditas, but understood scientifically in this sense. There, in that study also, phytogenesis blurs the microscopic and the macroscopic planes of vegetal existence, seeing that, and I quote Schleiden, every plant developed to a somewhat higher degree is an aggregate of fully individualized independent beings, even the very cells. And he continues, each cell, I'm quoting, each cell leads a double life, an entirely independent one belonging to its own development alone, and an incidental one insofar as it has become the constituent part of a plant. This is what we mean by the community of semi-autonomous growths that each plant is, even at its cellular level, as Schleiden confirms, right? So the notion of symbiosis has to be, that we talked about earlier, has to be extended not only to organisms or kinds of organisms, but even to cells. Each cell is already a symbiotic assemblage of microorganisms who used to perhaps exist independently before.